means to be born different. They call it power. They call it glory. But when a man is born with a king's soul, it is not a gift. It is a burden. From your first breath, the world turns against you. Not with fists, but with expectation. With silence. With isolation. They see something in your eyes, and instead of honoring it, they fear it. You were never given the warmth of normal life. No safety. No softness. You were given weight. The unspoken rule was clear. Lead or collapse under pressure. You weren't taught peace. You were thrown into storms. And the only way out was through fire, through betrayal, through becoming someone even your past self wouldn't recognize. Others beg for approval. You were born to walk alone. Because every room you enter feels it. Your presence unsettles the weak. Your silence exposes the loud. Your intensity reveals their softness. You didn't choose that. It chose you. That's what a king's soul does. It divides. It separates. It marks not for celebration, but for war. They call you arrogant. You're just focused. They call you cold. You've seen too much to pretend. You don't belong in their circles. You weren't born to be liked. You were born to carry kingdoms on bones built from pain. Here's the rule no one tells you. The deeper your power grows, the quieter your world becomes. The king's soul isn't loud. It doesn't beg for company. It devours solitude, because nothing else can contain it. People laugh less around you. They shrink. They stop asking questions. Not because you're cruel, but because your energy makes their weakness unbearable. Friendships fade. Family misunderstands. Love becomes a battlefield. Not because you're broken, but because few can walk beside a man who carries this kind of gravity. They say you've changed. No, you've moved forward. And distance is the tax of becoming. The king's soul does not belong in crowds. It was made to sit in storms and not flinch. That silence you feel, it's not punishment. It's your palace, the place where thoughts become weapons, where values turn into law, where purpose turns into command. Don't fill the silence. Don't run back to noise. Don't explain your distance. A man born with a king's soul must first rule himself before ruling anything else. A king is not calm. He is composed. Calm is soft. Composed is controlled violence. And deep inside you lives a rage no one sees until it's time. You didn't choose that rage. It came with the birthright. Years of silence, misunderstanding, being underestimated, carrying everything, complaining about nothing. Pressure doesn't crush you anymore. It builds you. That rage becomes discipline. Sleepless nights, relentless work. Decisions no one applauds. You don't yell, you deliver. You don't threaten, you execute. Because the rage in a king isn't loud, it's lethal. One day you'll realize the truth. No one is coming. No rescue, no help, no permission. And in that moment, the king is born. Not by blood, not by blessing, by decision. Most men break there. They beg. They negotiate with weakness. But you don't. A king doesn't ask for mercy. He becomes the judge. You crawled out of war. Betrayed, abandoned, ignored, and still you rise. Not because you were chosen, but because you were willing to bleed for a life others gave up on. The law of kings is brutal. No one owes you understanding. No one is responsible for your survival. You sharpen your will on rejection, on failure, on hunger, and you walk alone until others are forced to follow. Not out of loyalty, but out of fear. Because real kings don't lead with charm. They lead with consequence. The throne wasn't inherited. It was carved. From agony, from isolation, from hell itself. Kings aren't crowned by applause. They are built in silence and sealed with scars. Now you sit alone, not because you want to, but because no one else survived the climb. This isn't power. It's discipline weaponized, rage mastered, pain turned into peace. Wear the crown without pride, without joy, with stillness, because the king doesn't celebrate. He watches, he protects, he enforces. And when the world forgets what it took to build the throne, he reminds them without ever speaking a word.